Welcome to the annual all-member meeting and forum speaker series kickoff. This is a bit different than our usual format at the Salem Convention Center. As you're well aware, we are all on Zoom, but we've adapted. For those of you who are Zoomologists, the experts, we are using the webinar format today. That means I can see the speakers, you can see the speakers, but we can't see all the participants there. So sit back and enjoy. I'm excited to share my message with you today and for you to hear some of the highlights from our 2019-2020 year. We'll present our Spirit of Salem Award today and then honor and thank some of our key volunteers. And I'm really excited for our executive team member, Wendy Belize from PGE, today's sponsor. She'll introduce our keynote, Noah Prince, who will speak on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the modern workplace. And we'll follow that up with Chamber's efforts on that same front. And finally, the exciting reveal of our new forum series, the speakers for the rest of the year. But first, as is so appropriate, I want to introduce Ron Peters from Salem Aviation and Fueling to start us off with our Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation. Ron.
Thank you, Kathy. Would you all join me, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bow your heads, please. Our loving Heavenly Father, today we come before you and acknowledge your presence here with us and ask your blessing on this meeting. For our leaders today, we ask wisdom, insight, and understanding. Lord, we ask your mantle of strength to be placed upon them as they struggle with the decisions that are made during this troubling and challenging time. We ask for strength and stamina for our first responders and the volunteers supporting them. We ask for peace. Peace for those affected by the tragedies around us. Not only peace, but comfort also, for so many have been stricken by tragedy. May your spirit of generosity pour out on this community and infect us all as we fight for the good fight and provide peace, shalom, to our neighbors and surrounding communities. In your name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. So with all of the events that have been transpiring over these past weeks, I think it's very appropriate to start our meeting today. I'm really pleased to introduce a dedicated public servant who has been in the thick of all of the activity. I want to welcome Marion County Commissioner Kevin Cameron. Commissioner Cameron is a successful business owner and a community leader. Through his service in the community and his business, he has proven that citizens can make a difference by getting involved in the lives of others and by leading through example. Commissioner Cameron was appointed to the Marion County Commission in June of 2014 and then subsequently elected by the citizens of Marion County in that following November and again in 2018. Prior to being elected to the Marion County Board of Commissioners, Mr. Cameron served in the Oregon House of Representatives, representing the residents of House District 19. During the 2011 legislative session, then Representative Cameron served as the Oregon House Republican leader. Mr. Cameron became a full-time resident of Detroit Lake, Oregon in the fall of 2017. Welcome, Commissioner Cameron.
I love that the chamber realizes we're in a crisis inside of a crisis. Tom, thank you. Ron, thanks for your prayer. And those of you that are with us today, thanks for your prayers. I didn't think I'd get too emotional doing this because I've done it a few times, but every time I think about what I'm going to talk about, it's pretty emotional. What I have today is I want to thank the chamber. We put this little It's about a 6-minute video together. I'm going to try to talk through it. And I'll wait, don't hit play yet. What I want to, it's a chronological video of pictures that I had and collected. And as you'll see at the beginning of the video, it was a normal Labor Day weekend at Detroit Lake. And I had my fiance and her daughter and a friend that came up from Southern California. And we're going to go through this video. I will try to describe some of the things that you see as we play it. And then I'll open it up. I'll probably talk about a few more things. And then if we have time and people have a chat or what the ability to ask questions, I'll do the best I can. So as you can see, we were having a little bit of fun. That's right outside Detroit, Cain's Marina. Paul O'Donnell dressed up in his dinosaur outfit. There's Lauren with a little beer. There we are. There's our 2 guests. We had a golf cart parade. Danielle Bethel was up there. So you can see the smoke coming in the background. This was Saturday or Sunday.
Mama, what's happening here?
Still having some good times.
I can barely hear you. What? I'm on my watch.
That fire had been, and then on Monday night.
So amazing to be here and so blessed to have encountered like such kind souls. It's funny, people are always like, oh, you must be so alone out there by yourself, like with a bicycle. And I'm like, yeah, sure, there are times like where I'm alone, but then you hear the trees, you hear the wilderness, and like you feel that feeling of being isolated. But then you encounter like beautiful human connection like this. Exactly. You realize that, holy, I couldn't be alone if I tried to be alone.
Right.
So I'm super grateful to be here in Detroit, man.
Good.
Thanks for hosting me.
All right. All right. Yeah. Glad to have you.
They are hearing this sound. Oh, I should have been quiet then. So from 9 o'clock, you can pause this right here. From 9 o'clock at night, we received, can you pause it? I don't think so. There we go. 9 o'clock at night, we received a evacuation level that tomorrow, which would have been Tuesday at noon, we were supposed to go level 2. The 2 evacuation notice. This is the level 3 notice that we got at about 12:30 at night. Our power went out at around 4 o'clock. I was running the generator until we went to bed at 10 o'clock. And then here's the text message that we got, basically saying, you are now ready to go. And at the same time I got that text message, I started to hear sirens going around the town. And our sheriff's department, some of you that have been up at Detroit probably know Sheriff Deputy Garrett Olson. He had been out on the lake. I saw him at 9 o'clock in the morning. Here he was at 12:30 at night, and he was up there till 3:30 at night trying to get people out of their homes. So ready to go at midnight, 12:30. This is some fire. This was actually taken on Wednesday on the way up to relieve the Army Corps, but it's an example of some of the road conditions. This was the night, this was about 1 o'clock in the morning, downtown Detroit. You can see the fire coming over the hill. This was on the way out. I took one picture and said, oh, I better just pay attention. This was actually taken by my fiance's daughter in the back car. We were going through a firebomb. This is the Department of Forestry, which is right there at the North Fork crossing. You can see the restaurant that's been there for years, totally gone. This was on Wednesday on the way trying to get back in. To relieve the Army Corps, they had an operator stuck in the dam for 48 hours. So we put together a power company, fire vehicles, and a couple sheriff vehicles. And this is what the road looked like. Somebody abandoned their trailer right on the road to get out of there. Big Cliff Dam, you can see a lot of just accumulation, and that's going to get worse. I'm going to just pause it right here. So as we came into town, that's okay. We can keep going. I'll just keep talking and then go back. So Mountain High Grocer is still standing there. Best chicken strips in the whole world, probably. You know that. But to the left, Cedars, the sign standing there, and everything on the left is just totally gone, except for the little post office in Detroit. The motel behind Mountain High, you can go ahead and go, is half gone. And then there's the post office still standing, but everything around it is just totally, it's like a war zone. Go ahead, yeah. There's Cedars. This is my street. This is Cluster Road. The first two homes are totally demolished. And this is down at the Canes Marina. You can see all the motor homes and RVs are just totally gone. That's right across the street from my house. About Rich Duncan's, that's Rich Duncan's trailer. About 4 or 5 trailers stood. My house is far left there. You can barely see it. I can name all these people's homes. There's 9 homes on this street that were left standing miraculously. We don't know why. Look at all the trees that are there. Eric and Candy Page's home. Dorrance is next to them. The home that Sandy and John Elwood built is still there. Again, another picture. I think that's Cedars back on the highway. And here's what the boats look like. And this is a whole nother project. We have a crisis inside the crisis. I'll talk about it. But I thought it appropriate that an American flag was still flying on somebody's boat out there. This is going around St. Anne Avenue. If you're familiar, there's a lakeside motel. Right there is where the motel was. Right there, that's what's left of the motel. And as you travel around, I was taking this video right outside the sheriff's vehicle. Good friends of mine, that chimney right there was Bob and Sandy's, that's her vehicle. Papa's place, left standing. And then from here all the way down Sandy Am until we got to Joe Maduri's house, they're all gone. They're just totally burnt away. And as you see in this video, as we get further along, you'll see where houses totally burnt down, but yet golf carts, ATVs, boat trailers right out front are still standing. That house was a brick house that was built just 2 years ago, brand new. Paul O'Donnell's house. Danielle Bethel's sign still standing there. Go Danielle. There's this ATV, golf cart. Of course, the tires might be melted, we don't know. And a boat trailer that's still standing. There's Maduri's house still standing. And the homes all the way down from there. Fast forward to the recovery efforts, the evacuation. Here's the Oregon State Fairgrounds. We have over 1,400 animals there right now. Everything from little teeny birdies to big horses and cattle. The Red Cross, effective this morning. There's our federal delegation. We toured with them on Thursday, Friday, I guess it was. There's Department of Ag, Jonathan Sundow trying to hog tie a pig, literally. And Congressman Schrader was standing there and I said, hey, this guy used to work for you. Look what he's doing now. So we're having some fun, okay? This is the line of supplies in the fairgrounds, in the Jackman Long building. You can see everything from baby supplies to shampoo to, this is not the food side. This is just the pouring of gifts and donations that have come in to help people. You can see all the dog food back there for pets. And we're telling people now just to hold off on further donations because this is going to be a long-term project and we'll need more donations as we go forward. This is on the food side, the opposite side of the building where there's fresh food, meals being come in and then packaged food so people can take it with them. Thanks to all our volunteers and people that have stood up to do this. So that's just a brief update on my experience and what I've been dealing with as a county commissioner ever since I went through a fireball, and I'll share this with you. I was in my pickup truck and I had 10 gallons of gasoline in the back of the truck because when we were being evacuated, they first said go east. And I'm thinking there's a lot of people in this car. And all these cars are going to go to Bend, they don't have enough fuel. So I took my generator fuel and threw it in my truck. Well, that was kind of fortunately nothing blew up. When I was going through a firebomb in Mill City, I was spared us. So at this time, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on the hotel, on the relief efforts. There's over 900 people that have been placed in hotels. Unlike what you'll read in the Woodburn newspaper, the city of Woodburn did not set up the shelter in the hours, converted that from the 3 families that were in there for COVID isolation. We talked with Yamhill, Polk County, Lynn County, and Yamhill County took our COVID patients, and we opened that up for the Red Cross. Currently, Marion County is spending $250,000 a month for that shelter. Red Cross is not paying for it. The city of Woodburn is not paying for it. So I wanted to clear that up if you read that in the paper this morning. It's interesting how people want to try to take credit for certain things, get into politics. We have 1,400 animals, 84, 90 RVs at the fairgrounds. There's 200 evacuees in Redmond that belong to Lynn County or Marion County, Lane County. There is approximately, we had our assessor run a GIS map within the fire lines. We think there's approximately 3,000 structures within the fire lines in Marion County. We don't know how many of those are still standing and how many aren't because it's too dangerous to get in. FEMA is coming in. They're going to have teams that will go in and assess damages. However, we are already looking at our budget because of property taxes and loss of property taxes on these places. We're running all these extra expenses, and we got a potential tsunami coming down with our budget. And unlike the state, we're not going to wait 3 quarters to make sure we make adjustments. So the other crisis within the crisis that I want to share is that there are over 200 boats in the marinas still up at Detroit. And there's a team led by Garrett Olson, he's our Marine deputy, organizing a plan to, if we get the green go ahead through fire Wednesday or Thursday, to get them up there. And if you can imagine, people left keys in their houses, their trailers burned up. We've got a whole array of issues that we're dealing with as we go up there to try to rescue that. And Army Corps was not going to hold back water. We finally got our federal delegation attention at a call Friday. They at least reduced it from 1,500 cubic feet per second to 1,200 cubic feet per second to give us a few more days to try to rescue that. And when I told them if they didn't help us, that they were going to have all these boats sitting in the top of their dam, they lost their log boom that protects their dam. So they suddenly realized they were going to have a bunch of debris, boats, fuel floating in their lake come spring if they didn't help us. So that's another crisis within the crisis if you think about it. I don't know how much time we have, but I'd be happy to
continue.
Answer questions if anybody sent in a question on the chat about a wrap.
Either about a wrap.
So last thing I'll say is recovery. This is an example of what research our community services economic development team is doing. I know we're working with power companies, all kinds of people. This is the Paradise, California Recovery Plan. There's some best practices out there that we're looking at. One of the most important things, I was talking with Mike Erdman today on home builders, is that we can figure out a plan to clean up and get people cleaned up. And that'll come after we're able to secure the fires, et cetera. But clean up and then the rebuild plan will get going. So I want to thank the Chamber for allowing me to be here today. And I want to thank everybody who's on this Zoom call for all you do to support not only the Chamber, but what I love about this Chamber is they don't look at the city limits as their community. They look far beyond, and it's an amazing place to serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. That was difficult for all of us to watch, but we felt it was very important for our business community to have that update. Thank you again. All right, on with our agenda. This is kind of a hard message to deliver after seeing that devastation and knowing that many of our members have been fully affected by these fires. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of them, and a thank you to all of those of you who have been so generous in giving a hand through your donations as volunteers and for providing for those displaced individuals. This message today is a message of positive change, of resource, rejuvenation, and gratitude. First, I'm thrilled and excited to be the president of the best, if not the premier business association in the Salem area. It has been a busy 2.5 months already. I'd like to reflect on my experiences so far, talk a little bit about our chamber, what's happening today, and some grateful thoughts. Each time I walk into the chamber office, I am always struck by that wall of past presidents, the men and women pictured there, and those we remember who since 1895 have volunteered their time. Yes, on December 5th, we will have our 125th anniversary of the Salem Area Chamber of Commerce. There's so much history. It is the history of our organization, which they formed and shaped and gave countless hours while still leading their businesses. It is our legacy. What will we do with that? How will we continue to shape it and move it forward to make it better, to make it more relevant to you, our members, and to our community? I'm just one voice of many, and proud and humbled to be one in that line of leaders. And I hope one who will move us forward to be a valued voice for our members and a stronger voice in our community. And I'm very proud to be part of a talented and active board of volunteer leaders on our board of directors, who are owners and leaders in their businesses that they represent. I will introduce you to them in just a bit. As you are well aware, we've had a challenging start to our year with COVID-19 restrictions and now the devastating losses from the fires around us. The Chamber has been thoughtful. Why is this Chamber of Commerce so important to this community? How can we be most valuable to our membership when there are so many challenges our businesses face today? Our Salem Area Chamber of Commerce is a reflection of you, the businesses of our community, and we want you to thrive because when you're a success, our community thrives. We want economic stability for you and your employees because it's your contributions to the Salem area that make this community an amazing place to live. The Chamber is a collective voice of all business voices. The Chamber is the advocate for our business community. The Chamber is your trusted resource. Without our Chamber businesses, we are not the strong community we can be. We recently unveiled a new logo. How could I have that? It's very telling of who the Chamber is. Let's take a closer look. So there's our new logo.
Hold on one second.
Well, there it was. It's right behind me on the wall. What I really want to emphasize today is those 3 words: convener, catalyst, champion. There's the old logo. Now let's go back to the new logo. Those are 3 very important words. What I really want to talk to you about is those 3 words and what they mean to being part of the Salem Chamber. So let's start with word number 1, convener. What is a convener? Well, our objective is to call people together. During COVID, it has been tough to connect. We have adapted, as is the human spirit, as best we can through electronic meetings and small socially distanced functions, events, and functions. It is really important for our members to have connections, that strong network of strong business believers. There is so much that goes on at the Chamber, and we hope that you're able to participate in any one of our programs or events. There are so many opportunities for you to connect, and just to name a few, annually we celebrate the Heart of the Valley, agribusiness, or weekly, meet with the greeters. It's their time to meet and get to know your fellow business peers, or monthly at the forum or with the Chamber businesswomen. Lots of opportunities. We are hoping for a time when we can all come together again in person. In the meantime, just 1 week from today, we will have an opportunity for the Chamber to gather at one of those small groups events. We hope to enjoy some cleaner air at the McLaren Golf Tournament, to come together to celebrate the legacy of one of our extraordinary CEOs, Mike McLaren. All right, the next word on there is catalyst. You can see him right behind me on the book. Let's look at some of the definitions of what a catalyst is. It's something that causes activity between two or more persons or forces. A catalyst is an event or person causing a change where a change is needed. An economic catalyst is an entrepreneur or company that precipitates a fundamental change in business or technology. And my favorite, a catalyst is someone who ignites action in others. Catalyst leaders are high energy, supportive, forward-thinking mentors who spark action in the people around them, who incentivize. A perfect example of this has been occurring over the last days and weeks. We have been working with the United Way to be a hub for donations. Hundreds of our members and their friends have donated truckloads of food, water, personal goods to benefit those displaced by the Santiam Canyon fire. We've had 3 truckloads of goods. I want to shout out to Rich Dublin Construction for transporting those goods. Such generosity shows the soul of the Chamber. We are a catalyst for relief and support in our community's time of need. We continue to take donations, and we are working in conjunction with United Way to get those to the right people. And as we are in month 7, yes, month 7, many businesses have been seriously hurt or closely affected by the COVID pandemic, while many have been fortunate enough to adapt and thrive. We hope that the resources that we've been providing via our website and regular communications have been beneficial. We hear stories about our social media platforms, and we know they have helped. And in hopes of encouraging change, where needed, we've added a direct link on our Chamber website to the Secretary of State site to encourage our citizens to register to vote. Ongoing, we are a catalyst for leadership development. You will see this through many avenues. One, our public-private partnership with the Salem Kaiser School District, where we oversee the business connections to career technical education programs, engaging students with businesses to be productive citizens. Through our Candidate Academy, providing best practices and answering questions to candidates who are running for elected office. Or through our sister organization, the Inspire Foundation, who focuses on leadership development through Leadership Salem and Leadership Youth. And our statewide reach is big as well, as Tom Hoffert serves not only on the Oregon Chamber Board, but also on the Governor's Regional Economic Recovery Team. And Kevin Cameron is a part of that team as well. And finally, that last word, champion. That's probably my favorite word of the 3. The definition of a champion: to support, defend, or fight for a person, belief, right, or principle enthusiastically. I underline that word, enthusiastically. We are here to support and fight for business. We are your advocate. For the past 40 years, I have seen ebbs and flows of our elected officials. There have been those who have worked with our business community and some who have not. But we have worked with all elected officials, even if their ideals were not aligned with ours, to educate them so that they would recognize that strong voice that we represent in our commitment to a strong community. As we look to endorse candidates later this week in state and county races, forefront in our minds will be how they will support our business community. We will support and promote you. We are your resource. When you think about the stages of business, from planning and startup, launching your business to growth and maturity, think about the Chamber. Think about how we connect with you on all fronts, from celebrating your opening to leadership development to connections. We are there. We communicate with you to understand your business pressure points, your struggles, and advocate for you at all levels of government. We strive to develop future leaders who believe in the business, community, public connection. We encourage young professionals in our community to join us in these efforts for strong future leadership. And we celebrate you. We want to honor those of you who give so much to our community, and we do that as often as we can. Today, you'll see our Spirit of Salem Award. And annually, our community stars are honored at the Business Excellence Awards and the First Citizen and Distinguished Service Awards. But you know, I think there's a fourth C, and that is communicator. The ability to communicate with you is critical, whether that be through our website resources, via email, in person, or in print or social media. All are important to get the message to you. Keep in touch with us. Let us know the best way to communicate with you. Without the essential communication, we would not be the best convener, catalyst, or champion, and we aim to be the best. A portion of our program today is about gratitude, and I just want to express my appreciation and gratitude. I am grateful to our team, yes, all of the volunteers, the committees, the staff. I especially want to acknowledge our volunteer ambassadors, our welcoming committee of the Chamber, and the Chamber businesswomen, the greeters, public policy, and membership. There are participants exhibit energy and synergy whenever we encounter them. And I want to especially thank those member businesses who help us not only in contributing product, but also allowing their staff, their leaders, their talent to volunteer on our committees, programs, and events, and especially those who choose to lead by being chairpersons. And I want to acknowledge Tom Hofford, who is the catalyst for the wonderful direction the Chamber has taken in the past 19 months under his leadership. Let's talk about Tom and his team for just a minute. What an enthusiastic group. The staff are creative, talented, and just plain hard workers. They are driven, focused, goal-oriented, and they work extremely hard to achieve their goals. They do this for you, for our members, and they love doing it. They are so passionate, and I am proud to work with each and every one of them in different capacities. We recently hired 2 new staff who will be strong in that area of communication as they share with you the best of the Chamber in being a convener, catalyst, and champion. But it is you, our members, who make the Chamber so special. What a diverse variety of businesses and industries we comprise. Over 1,000 members representing over 40,000 employees. From bakeries to assisted living, from attorneys to farmers, from financial planners to builders, including large and small employers. As I drive the streets of Salem and our surrounding community, I see the shingles, the signs of those who chose to take a risk and start a business. Some have been here for decades, and some just opened their doors yesterday. And it is that risk, that daring, that entrepreneurial spirit that drives each and every one of us in the business community to make this community prosper. For business is commerce, and commerce provides jobs, and jobs provide economic stability, and with economic stability, we thrive. Support your fellow Chamber members when you consider doing business, engaging in a service, or buying a product. And if they are not a member, share your story of how the Chamber advocates for you. For all businesses, share the story of the Chamber. We believe in you. We want you to succeed. We will be there beside you along the way, helping you to navigate the challenges and celebrate your successes. We will not lose our focus. We will not lose our focus. Business is our focus. We will be relevant and a strong voice because the prize is your success. I was reflecting back 19 years last Friday, September 11th, how when there's a disaster, it brings us together. We are stronger when we work to overcome adversity. There's a sense of belonging to something much bigger than ourselves. This is the human spirit. It will be difficult for some of us, for our friends and our neighbors over the next days and months, but that human spirit will prevail, and we as a business community will walk with them. So yes, there's a lot of hard work ahead of us, so lean on us. We will reach out to you. We want to know your challenges. We want to turn your challenges into opportunities. We want the Chamber to be the strongest tool in your business tool belt. We will fight for you stand beside you and be your resource. Let us be your convener, your catalyst, your champion. Thank you. And now I'm really honored to get to share with you our board of directors for the coming year. Our executive committee is Laura Dorn from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. She is our president-elect. Stephen Joy, treasurer from Fisher Hayes Joy and Allen LLC. Alan Rasmussen, vice president of membership from Modern Building Systems. TJ Sullivan, past president from Huggins Insurance. Eric Templeton, secretary from AmeriTitle. Wendy Valise, vice president of advocacy from Portland General Electric. And finally on the executive committee, Christy Witzke, vice president events from SAFE. And the rest of our board of directors, all equally talented individuals. Larissa Adavo from Hope Orthopedics of Oregon, Marin Areola III from Advanced Economic Solutions, Inc., Brandon Blair from Summit Wealth Management, Jonathan Castro-Monroy from Castro-Monroy Group, Ryan Collier from Collier Law, Randall Cook from Sawfield Griggs PC, Paul DeCopolis from Garrett Heeman Robertson PC, Dave Dunn from Willamette Valley Fruit Company, Mike Heron from Vips Industries, Inc., Jeff Kelly from Kelly's Home Center, Jennifer Martin from Mid-Valley Commercial Real Estate, Dan McDowell from Pioneer Trust Bank, Jeff Miller from Coldwell Banker Commercial, Sheldon Nord from Corbin University, Maria Palacio from Olson Florist. What a great group of talented individuals we have. Looking forward to this year ahead of us. All right, where are we on the agenda? Let's see. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have two people join me. Laura Dorn, our president-elect, and TJ Sullivan, our past president. And we are going to talk a little bit about, let's give us a little recap of what happened in 2019 and 2020. And so I'm just trying to find the page where I need to be. Just a second, because I think I'm up first. That might be over there. No, I think it's over here. Okay. Financials. Right here. Excuse me for a minute. Excuse me. All right. First on the topic, and probably, I'm going to say, just right out, being a CPA, that this is probably the most important topic. That's our financial position. Go CPAs. So as a CPA, I've seen the importance of financial stability in many businesses. And today I'm happy to report that the Chamber is in the strongest financial position I have seen since I joined the Chamber Finance Committee back in 2012, 2011, so for quite a while. It's taken a lot of sacrifice over the last 2 years to bring that security and peace of mind that financial stability brings to our organization, but it is critical as we move forward into 2020, 2021 in offering the best program and advocacy for our member businesses. I want to acknowledge the members of the Finance and Budget Committee as they've given their time and continue to give their time. And Terry Kenzie has been on this committee for I don't even know how long, but Terry Kenzie, thank you, as well as the young bucks that are on the team, Stephen Joy and Eric Templeton. All right, Laura, you're up.
I'm up. Well, thank you, Kathy, for that great start to this event, as we'll call it. Last year, I was asked to participate in finding a new membership director, membership manager, and I had somebody in mind that I thought should be part of our team, asked him to apply, and sure enough, the committee decided that Zachary Zalewski was our guy. He has worked super hard. He is very enthusiastic, ambitious. To date, we have 1,028 members and growing, and we continue to grow, and he's worked really hard, and he is now celebrating his 1-year anniversary with us, and we're really excited to have him. We are continuing to grow our, last year I was the VP of the membership committee, and I was really excited to hand the baton to Alan Rasmussen this year, and bringing a younger person with a lot of energy and knowledge, and his committee is growing, and anybody who's interested in being on a membership committee, we're welcoming anybody that would like to participate. It's very important to continue to engage with our members, and Tom has a lofty goal of 1,500 members here, and you know, with this team and Zachary, I think we can make it. We continue to grow, to serve, to engage, and retain. Those are our goals, and with this team, I see an exciting 2020 of continued growth.
Awesome, thanks for that, Laura. On the public policy front, as you know, doing business in Oregon can be challenging. We are often the last to be asked to come to the table. And a lot of times we're the ones on the menu, and I'm talking about people in business. And so the Chamber of Commerce has a unique role. An economy is like an ecosystem. And in an ecosystem, you have to have these things called producers. And when they thrive, everybody else in that food chain thrives. And in an economy, it's the business, small business, private business that is the producers. We're the engine. And when we're thriving, everything else in the food chain gets fed. And the people who have the greatest impact on how we thrive is actually our elected officials. And so as a Chamber of Commerce that's trying to build economic security for the families in our area, it's our responsibility to make sure that our elected officials understand that how the policies that they pursue are going to impact us in our business. And so the Chamber of Commerce, we've continued to do that. We've put together a Candidates Academy, and we've invited folks, regardless of their political persuasion, to get involved in that Candidates Academy to learn more about running for office. We're reaching out to folks who are interested in running, helping them understand the impact that they're going to play. We have two different political action committees, the Create Jobs PAC and the Build Jobs Coalition, that we are active in raising revenue and using that money to help get our message out. We've put together two different candidate questionnaires, and we'll continue to do that, asking questions so that our membership can get to learn about the candidates a little bit better. And then we have an endorsement process. So a lot of people turn to the Chamber first before they go to their voters pamphlet to find out who are the folks that they need to be looking to vote for. And so we appreciate your involvement. Public policy meetings happen once a month. And if you're looking for a way to get more involved in the political side of things, public policy meetings are a great place to start. Once a month, first Thursday of every month, there's usually an action-packed agenda and something that's topical and important for us to be looking at.
On to events and programming. We have some, we seem to forget pre-COVID-19. We just started out with a bang and awesome events. One being the sponsored Safe the Egg Banquet, sold out and had an awesome speaker, Jim Burnett, who I hope he comes back and talks again. He just knocked it out of the park. Everybody enjoyed it. The theme was more casual, great food, great socializing. It was a wonderful event. Then followed by our 70th annual First Citizens Banquet, which is very near and dear to my heart. I've served on that as chair for many years. And our presenting sponsors, we can't thank enough, Pioneer Trust and Mountain West, always theirs to step up. We presented the First Citizens to the Honorable Paul DeMuniz, and Distinguished citizens were Scott Hosmer and Brenna Bockham and Dr. Wallace Long from the Willamette Choir. It was a great event, a little more formal. We also rolled out a new award called the Legend Award. And this award was given to Dick Withnell. The Legend Award is an award that is not necessarily every year, but it is to honor a past recipient of the First Citizen Award and thank them for their continued service and participation in our community. And Dick Withnell is one of those that continues on. We also have events, the Chamber Businesswoman group, and they are awesome and growing, and just recently got together in a small venue up at Red Hawk Winery. They normally have a summer event, and it might have been small, but they achieved it and had a great time. We also have programming that we are involved with the Salem Kaiser School District and our CTEC, and that's an ongoing program that we engage as members and our group with the kids out there. There's between construction and, which is really taken off. We have staff members that are connected there, and we continue to grow with that. And don't forget, we do have a forum speaker series for this year, and whether it's Zoom or we finally get it in person, we're got a great lineup.
So you've seen the new logo. It used to be a brick, or was it a cornerstone? It was a symbol of I think strength, but it got to the point where it got a little tired. And this last year we made the decision to pursue a new logo. We utilized a local firm here in town, Good Notion, to help us with that. And so the logo, I want to know if you can type into the chat feature what you see when you see the logo. Is it a compass? Is it a torch? Is it the mountains on top of water? What do you see when you see that logo? So please type in the chat what you see. It's something different for everybody, but this is a big change for us to change the logo. And when we all saw it, I think that there was some unanimity that we all believe that it was the right direction for us. So it's simple, classy. If you don't like it, you can put that in the comments too. We'll hunt you down later. But it's something that was a positive change for us, and excited to see how it leads to new conversations.
We also want to introduce our new staff members. Our addition to Zachary, our membership manager, we have Naomi Tillery. We're very excited to have her. She's going to be an engagement specialist and also back up with events. And we have an awesome marketing media specialist, Emmanuel Gochia. And we're just excited to have this new team as part of our staff.
And they've been active and super involved. And you saw some of the instant results with Salem Eats, Salem Hires, and Salem Shops. These are Facebook pages. And when COVID first hit, we were very worried about the restaurants in town. And the chamber was right there. And putting together the Salem Eats pages, I understand that that's now over 1 million engagements with people coming to check out that site for an idea on where to go. And it's so popular that Salem, Massachusetts now, when you go to the Salem Eats page, Salem, Massachusetts is dropping in every once in a while with restaurants there. People are promoting their restaurants on our Salem Eats page. So I mean, we're across the country. The Salem Area Chamber of Commerce is a leader, and that was kind of the brainchild of Zach Salicki, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. And my favorite story from that was in the middle of COVID, the Denny's on Hawthorne, their manager came on and she posted a bunch of pictures and said, hey, because of Salem Eats, I am hiring all of these people back. And we're getting back to work because of Salem Eats and the fact that you guys are driving business into restaurants. And that's what the Chamber of Commerce does. So we're out there working hard to make sure that our businesses are protected in difficult times.
Finally, just to wrap up the year, we have 2 task forces and committees that have been meeting. The first of those is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And I want to stress how important the Chamber feels about embracing diversity and inclusion. We do not tolerate racism, discrimination, or hatred. We want our membership to have an education, the educational opportunities on this area. And Wendy, a little bit later, will talk a little bit about our efforts in that area. In addition to that, we have a real estate task force that's been meeting. We feel it's very important to be good stewards of the facilities that we own. This task force is looking forward to working through maintenance issues, financial aspects and opportunities, and ensuring the safety of those who occupy and utilize our facilities. All right, that is a really fast recap of what's going on in 2020 or 2019, 2020. Let's move on. Naomi, I have you up next on the agenda.
Thank you, Kathy. The Spirit of Salem Award is our chance to recognize the influencers who put Salem first and inspire individuals to become champions for our city. Today's Spirit of Salem recipients not only possess these qualities, but live them each and every day. We as a community, along with the Ritter family, mourn the loss of their dear sister, daughter, and wife, Jessica. Jessica knew what was important and what was not. Faith, family, love, kindness, and forgiveness were values Jessica held most. Even in her fight with cancer, she exuded qualities of a champion, never complaining, thinking of and putting her family first, and leaning on her faith to carry her through. The greatest lesson she leaves her family and all of us will forever live in us and up to us to carry on. Jessica, Cecilia, Mike, and the entire Ritter family understand and live the value of service to others. They are everything that is right in small business. Now moving forward, anytime you visit a small business in downtown Salem, you will experience Jessica's touch. You will fully experience her beautiful legacy, a legacy that will be lived and carried on by the Ritter family. Time and time again, this family would rise and heed the call when the community was in need. And even now, the loss of Jessica in their time of need, the family still continues to think of how they best serve their community in its time of need. This is one of the many reasons why today we honor the Ritter family with the Spirit of Salem Award. Champions in our city, rising to the occasion and leading with a servant's heart. It takes a lot of bravery to be a restaurateur. It's a low margin industry. And it took bravery to take on renovating not 1, but 2 historic buildings and maintain the integrity of Salem whilst doing it. If you ever had the pleasure of dining at one of these restaurants, you know what it means to experience their warm welcome, the kind that makes you feel like family. To see Mike, Jessica, and Cecilia hard at work, greeting customers, providing support to their staff, running out food, cleaning down tables, and getting it ready for the next customer, always ready to serve their guests with smiles. Even when they would face their times of challenges, like burst water pipes at the Wild Pear that forced them to close while repairs would be done, opening up 2 new restaurants, Acme and Ritter's, going through deep personal loss, all the while never failing to put their staff and their community first. Always willing to find ways to help and never once having the desire for recognition. That's how a servant heart leads. They just do without being asked, answering the call, showing kindness when no one is watching, and never once wishing to be recognized for it. Back when COVID quarantine was beginning, Cecilia would be sitting in a dark and Wild Pear thinking what was best to do for her staff and their families to keep them safe, even if it meant having to temporarily close their doors. Even while caring for Jessica, Cecilia and Mike chose to take on the challenges of COVID and kept their restaurants open and serving their community. Cecilia, you and Jessica also serve as role models to all women in our community, inspiring so many. The Spirit of Salem Award recognizes the powerful work of the Ritter family in the Salem community. We are honored to have Cecilia join us to speak on behalf of the Ritter family accepting this award. Everyone, please join me in a warm welcome of our dear friend, Cecilia Ritter James.
Thank you, Naomi. You humble me. You humble my family with your words. I'm sorry, I'm so moved. I did write just a few things and helping me to be clear this morning with all of you. On behalf of my family and in honor of our beloved sister, Jessica, we accept your recognition of the Spirit of Salem Award. Jessica exemplified what we believe the Spirit of Salem is, which is building community. We have done that through our mission of hospitality. And by definition, hospitality means to take care of people's needs. We've done that through serving food and beverage in a welcoming, environment. But at the heart of what we do, it's to connect with people. Jessica, there was no more humble servant than her. Everything that she gave was from the heart, and she never wanted recognition for it. And so I think right now, more than ever, in this time of crisis, she would want the spotlight shown on the people who are truly deserving of what represent the Spirit of Salem. And that would be to all the firefighters and the first responders, all of our community members, through chamber members, businesses, the citizens that have been stepping up and providing assistance, fighting the fires themselves, feeding and sheltering the evacuees. It's been tremendous to see, even in this time of deep grief that my family is experiencing. How can we not see what's happening in our community? And it's humbling for you to want to recognize us during this time is even more humbling, but we can't accept it. We have to share it with the city of Salem and all of you. I think as a city, a community, we have a lot to be proud of. They say that in times of struggle and pain, that we grow. It's not through good times that we grow. It also is a time that measures your true character. And Salem should be proud. All of you should be proud for what this has revealed about who we are. I know Jessica is proud. I would just like to, in closing, say that my prayer for this community is that through our collective pain, that we grow together and come out stronger and more unified than before, representing what the city of Salem means: peace, city of peace. And when we come through this, we're going to be able to enjoy times of joy again with its healing. So thank you, Chamber, for all that you do, your advocacy through a pandemic, through death, through a fire, so much devastation. Our chamber steps up, its members, and shows the example of what it means to be a valued and caring citizen of this community, to love your neighbor. So I want to thank each and every one of you for doing that and for remembering what our mission is. Not just the wild pear and Ritters, but all of ours. I ask that we all take up the mantle, which is to take care of each other's needs. So thank you all.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Celia. And thank you, Mike. Thank you.
You're good.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. Our hearts, the whole heart of the chamber is with you and your family today. And now we're going to move it over to a little bit of recognition. I have Tom Hofford and Kathy Moore.
Well, thank you, Kathy. And before I jump into certainly what is paramount in our organization, which is recognizing those incredible women and men who make this organization so special, I'd like to just tell you a brief word. 2 weekends ago, we found out about the loss of Jessica Ritter and how powerful that all hit each of us in this community, and certainly Cecilia and Mike and the Ritter family. You can imagine my surprise the following Wednesday to walk out into my lobby and see Mike Ritter with a donation to those who were affected by the Santiam fires. This is a brother who recently lost his sister, is standing in our lobby, and needless to say, a very big hug was shared, and that just shows you how amazing that family is. And so in a time of incredible personal grief, both for the family and the community, there was Mike standing headstrong for all of us in this community to do what's right. So terrific, terrific selection on the Spirit of Salem. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to show you a video of our key volunteers for this organization. Make sure the sound under more, not great. Share computer sound. Ladies and gentlemen, those individuals that you saw on there are the organizations that's right, Ron, thank you. Applause is correct. Those individuals are the backbone of this organization. As a nonprofit business organization advocating for the needs of small businesses and creating an economically stable environment for businesses to thrive in so our entire community may thrive, those individuals allow us to accomplish that mission. I would be remiss if I did not recognize our great partners in the Inspire Foundation and the work led from a CEO perspective by Kathy Moore, who will give you a little bit of information about the Inspire Foundation, as well as coupling with their president, Scott Sadler, who has done yeoman's work for a number of years leading that organization. Those volunteers, and should you be interested in volunteering within this organization, know that we respect your time, and we know that there's a finite amount that you can give to an organization like the Salem Chamber. So when you do volunteer, we make sure that things are orderly, that your vision, your dedication is shared and celebrated throughout the community. And know that every time that you bring your resources, your personal capital to the table, it's valued not only by our board, but the entire membership. But because with everyone's voice together at the table, we can have the maximum amount of impact. At this time, I would like to turn it over to the CEO of the Inspire Foundation, Kathy Moore, to discuss the leaders within her organization. Kathy?
Thank you, Tom. Well, first, I would like to take this opportunity to thank those who have stepped up in a leadership role as the Inspire Foundation Board of Directors. We have Scott Sadler, President of Creative Conflict Solutions, Patricia Callahan Bowman of Express Employment Professionals as our past president. We have Dean Craig with Willamette Workforce Partnership, who is our treasurer, and Tammy Mack from Safe Corporation as our secretary. And our directors include Kathy Gordon from Aldridge CPA and Advisors. We have Sarah Noel Carpenter from the Telecom Lending Group, Loan Group. We have Frank Bermudez from Willamette Community Bank, and we have Maria Palacio from Olson Florist. So a huge thank you to all of those individuals. And thanks for giving this opportunity to give an extra shout out to our two amazing volunteer leaders for our Leadership Youth Program, Kathy McInnes with Salem Kaiser School District and Scott Sadler, Creative Conflict Solutions. These two individuals have been co-chairing that program for many years now. And they come to the table and every program day, every minute of those program days, they deliver care and compassion. They make it their priority to provide our youth with connections and relevance and all of the resources that will be a part of our youth's journey of success. And we couldn't do it without you and the rest of the team. So major thank you and major gratitude. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you to the Inspire Foundation for your work. I'd like to, first of all, make sure that you have seen these stickers that go on your windows. When you see this sticker on the facial or the door, the window of an organization in Salem, you can trust that they understand that doing the right thing each and every day for the business community is the spirit of partnership that makes Salem so special. Thank you to all those businesses that make our organization just that. I now have the opportunity to introduce one of our executive team members and ultimately the sponsor of today's training with Noah Prince. That individual is Wendy Belise with Portland General Electric. Wendy has been an incredible leader within this organization for so many years. In addition to bringing a beyond savvy workload and ability to connect within the community, Wendy is thoughtful and cares very much for her constituents. As you can imagine, being a large utility means many customers. And so Wendy looks at this entire city as her herd. And I'm very proud at this point to bring Wendy Belise onto our program to tell us a little bit about why PG is standing behind our Forum Series Luncheon, and more importantly, introduce our great speaker, Noah Prince. Wendy, the stage is yours.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Tom. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to join today's forum and look forward to the forum year ahead. On behalf of Portland General Electric, we're pleased to serve as today's sponsor. I do want to make note, particularly right now, that we're so appreciative of Tom Hoffert, the CEO, and the Salem Chamber, because you've been a long time important partner to PGE. Again, I want to express our appreciation. I want to start, this is a unique time. I want to start with saying and echoing what we heard from Commissioner Cameron and many others, that our hearts go out to our customers and community members across Marion County and across the state, to all those displaced and impacted by the wildfires. This is an important time that I've seen over the last week, people coming together to help friends and neighbors and strangers. And we couldn't be more touched by all that work. In addition, want to express our deep appreciation for the local leaders and public safety personnel for all their efforts, not just the wildfires, but this past year through a pandemic. And now, of course, the Beachy Creek and the many wildfire events that are occurring. At PGE, we are working as quickly and as safely as possible to restore power to our affected customers. I just wanted to share that because I'm getting a lot of questions around that. Right now, our guiding principles, the principles that have led our company for more than 130 years, are grounded in a commitment to safety and to putting customers first. This remains a dynamic situation which will continue to evolve. Crews are working on the front lines in close coordination with local, state, and federal authorities and first responders. As a member of the PGE team, I feel fortunate to work for an employer that is so committed to you, all of you, and the communities we serve. We're also proud of the fact that we respect all people and perspectives, and embracing racial diversity is core to our company's values and work. At the same time, however, we are clear-eyed that this isn't enough. Black Lives Matter. There are systemic issues that must be addressed and addressed now. It's incumbent on all of us as businesses and individually to apply an equity lens to our work and take action when we see injustice or inequitable programs and policies in our community. As an example, we are working hard to advocate for legislation to ensure equitable, affordable access to energy for all and within our own organization. We know this just scratches the surface, and we are committed to doing more. It's not enough to not be a racist. We must all be anti-racist and live that ideal in the way we do business, as well as the way we live our personal lives. To that end, PGE is taking action in 5 areas, including recruitment and development, leadership, diversity, awareness, education and training, partners and suppliers, and customer and community leadership. As education and training are foundational to long-term and meaningful change. So again, today across our company, we are focused on seamlessly generating, transmitting, and delivering efficient, reliable, affordable, safe, and clean electricity, because keeping the lights on when first responders and customers need it is our main priority. I just want to reiterate, I'm fortunate to be part of the PGE team. This is an important topic. It's personal for me. I've been raised and have a strong desire to make a positive difference for my community. I have a passion and a personal commitment to giving back to the community through helping family, friends, and neighbors. It's also important because I am a woman of color. I am also a former farm worker. I am the daughter, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter of farm workers. I am a mom of a daughter. I am a partner. I'm a resident within Marion County. And as a member of the business community and as a member of the Salem Chamber Board of Directors, I know that working alongside the Salem Chamber Board, CEO Tom Hoffert, and the Salem Chamber team, that we are working every day to support and embrace our diverse membership throughout the Salem-Keizer area and mid-Willamette Valley region. It is why I'm so excited to introduce Noah Prince. who has engaged with PGE's leadership team about racial equity as PGE continues our equity journey. Noah Prince is a top-tier recognized talent in helping business and organizational leaders consider cultural relationships and personal growth with a focus on employee equity. His approach of being down-to-earth, people-centered, and engaging continues to have a huge impact on every audience he works with. Noah has 15 plus years of experience as a leader in equity, inclusion, and leadership development work. Noah works with Fortune 50 companies, tech startups, education groups, nonprofits, and individual clients. I'm super excited about him working with symphonies. He meets clients where they are on their diversity journeys, and he helps them grow with integrity and intelligence. Noah is unique and sought after in his approach of engaging majority clients in client systems to see themselves as part of the leadership and dialogue on inclusion and diversity. As a white man serving in public education roles, Noah personally witnessed the direct impact of both equitable leadership and systemic inequity while working for nearly a decade in the Philadelphia public schools. After his time in Philly, Noah moved back to the Northwest to be closer to family. Noah was recruited as the coordinator of race and equity for Seattle Public Schools before continuing his journey as a private diversity and leadership consultant and facilitator for corporations, organizations, and nonprofits. He holds a BA in Black Feminist Thought from Evergreen State College and an MED from Temple University. Noah embraces helping cognitive dissonance and helping people understand their perspective and the perspective of others. His work is inspired by the Yogi Berra quote, "When you come to the fork in the road, take it." Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Noah Prince to the Salem Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. I love hearing that Yogi Berra quote. Haven't heard that for a minute. And I'm really honored to come in on the threads of conversation that I got to step in. First, just hearing themes of servant leadership, hearing themes of community and business intertwined, courage and doing the right thing, and sincere emotion to the Ritter family. I don't know if Miss Cecilia is still on here. I didn't know that story or any of that till I stepped into your community. But picking up on that, I definitely think I'm in the right community with the right message of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I'm seeing you all practice it on camera today, and it's really good to be here. So let's step into our conversation just a little bit. And I actually really love kind of some of the themes that Wendy began to strike up in introducing me, particularly this idea that PGE has held up that it's not enough to not be racist. One must be anti-racist. And hearing that thought right now in this matter of social unrest, COVID, I'm up here in Seattle, so just like you, wildfire smoke keeping us inside, months at home. Perhaps if you're like me, you have a significant other that's at a work site and you're with the kids and managing a business. So all of that going on, and thinking of that question that PGE is asking of themselves: what is it to be anti-racist? Well, stepping back even from that for a second, I'm not sure that in my journey as a equity practitioner, somebody that strives to embrace systems of equity and build systems of equity, that I knew what racism was at one point in time. I'm not sure that I thought of myself as a white person for much of my life. So there's some steps that I have to think about as far as my mindset and the behaviors associated with my mindset that I need to go through in order to be an effective leader that sees the power of inclusion and is able to leverage inclusion in their organization. To set the tone, I'm first going to show a quick video clip. There's a little, may I be a co-host? There's a little bias in the video clip that I'm going to show. I mentioned I'm from Seattle, and I'm going to show a video clip of Pete Carroll, who's the head coach for the Seattle Seahawks. I know Oregon doesn't have a team at the moment, or ever. But nonetheless, I like the message that is going to come through with this. Thank you. Please take in this 2-minute, 45-second clip, and then we will proceed with my presentation.
And the really amazing thing that I've learned is Black people know the truth. They know exactly what's going on. It's white people that don't know. And it's not that they're not telling us. They've been telling us the stories. We know what's right and what's wrong. We just have not been open to listen to it. We've been unwilling to accept the real history. We've been taught a false history of what happened in this country. We've been basing things on false premises, and it has not been about equality for all. It has not been about freedom for all. It's not been for opportunity for all. And it needs to be, because this is a humanity issue that we're dealing with. This is a white people's issue to get over it and learn what's going on and to figure it out and start loving everybody that is part of our country and that want to come to our country, wherever they want to come from. Our players are screaming at us. Can you feel me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? They just want to be respected. They just want to be accepted, just like all of our white children and families and want to be. It's no different, because we're all the same. And there's a lot of people that don't see it that way, but there's a lot of people that do. And I'm hoping that from this point forward, maybe there is a new door to open for us, and we can walk through it together with the thought of doing what's right. What's right is treating people equally. We know that. Forefathers knew it. They wrote it all down. They just didn't do it. They got caught up in making money, and they figured out a way to do it. And it meant persecuting and abusing an entire race of people. So, with the media as it is, with all of the exposure, it ain't like 1860s. It's not like 1960s when civil rights came through. We had 3 channels to watch. Well, the media is on it. Nothing happens that we don't know and don't see now. Everybody has a voice, and we all are seeing the truth of how Black people are being treated in our streets. And it really, law enforcement is a huge issue to our guys, because they're frightened for their lives. They're frightened for the lives of their loved ones and their children. They're frightened, because they don't know what's going to happen because of what we continue to see. So they're crying out again and calling for us, white people, to figure it out and to listen and to fix all of the obvious problems that we know. I don't need to listen for you guys. We all know it. It's out there. We got to do the right thing. And we got to do the right thing by caring for people and loving people, because they deserve it. Simple as that.
Hold on. Hold on to that thought for 1 second, and a couple more minutes of one other clip to contrast that with. This is out of Portland, Oregon, a few nights ago.
Okay, good. Okay.
First thing before we start, would you mind saying your name for me?
Jamar Summerfield.
How do you spell it?
Jamar Summerfield. Summerfield.
I ask everybody this. How old are you?
Wait a minute.
You said you're native to Portland.
Yeah,
So like,
for 46 years, I've been a Black for 46 years, foundational African American from Northeast Portland before the gentrification. I am appreciative of what's going on right here, that people that doesn't look like me are supporting the need of trying to get us something. But the thing, what I need them to understand the narrative is, we need economic justice. You can defund the police all you want. They're still going to pick where the money goes. And then these people here who's out here protesting, I'm appreciative, I'm telling you right now, that they're out here. But in the morning, they could transform and go back to $70,000 jobs. You can tell by the helmets, by the gear that they got on, that costs. You don't see people, foundational Black Americans from Northeast Portland before the gentrification, people like me down here with all that gear. These people could transform. I want them people who are out there when they go back in the morning to get us jobs, get us loans, give us access, give us a chance. Use this same energy that they got right now to say, hey, I'm going to take this one African American and I'm going to build him up. I'm going to guide him through so he can get economic justice. If we don't get no economic justice, we're still going to be in a situation that we're walking around and police are going to be able to do whatever they want to do to us.
So taking those two messages into account, this idea of Pete Carroll asking us, are there some fundamental truths, in this case, maybe as white people. In other cases, it could be as men looking at fundamental truths around gender or sexual orientation or any other dimension of diversity, religion, nationality, communication style, political affiliation. In this case, race. And asking us, are we willing to look at ourselves, reflect on that? And I don't hear him say castigate or blame or shame ourselves. I hear him asking us to love ourselves and each other in a way that we proclaim, and stepping up to that with courage and vulnerability. And contrasting that message with the African-American gentleman coming out of North Portland, talking about economic justice. And however you feel about these issues, from Black Lives Matters to protesting to NFL to athletes speaking out about social justice, wherever you are individually on this call right now, noticing those feelings and thoughts, holding a little place for that. And that is the work that I do every day with an organization called White Men as Full Diversity Partners, which is a mouthful. We've been around for 25 years, engaging white men, and not just white men, but company leaders around the world to think about what the culture of their organization is, what the broader culture of the community that they're situated in is, who might feel inside and outside of that culture, and how that influences workplace culture and relationships, as well as examine their own mindsets when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Am I somebody that strives nobly to treat everyone the same, to get around prejudice, and therefore maybe I'm limited in my ability to recognize difference and understand the importance of difference? Am I somebody that only sees difference amongst people and therefore can't get beyond that and imagine common ground? Am I somebody that has seen myself as a group member, Black, Latino, Asian American? Am I somebody that hasn't really seen myself as a group member and instead sees myself as an individual? How do all of these play out in our behaviors as leaders, even as we strive to be, whether we use the term anti-racist or whether we use the term embracing diversity and inclusion? How do these play out? How do our mindsets impact our behaviors? Let's spend a few minutes reflecting and thinking on that, and I'll carry on the conversation. Then we'll create a little space for questions and answers as well. So I'm going to share a few slides with you. Hopefully you can somebody let me know if they can see my slide deck right now? Is there a way if anybody can let me know?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you, Noah.
Great. Thank you. So if you've been part of a conversation in the past, maybe at work, maybe at a leadership course you were part of, or perhaps in college, or perhaps in the community, often if it was like me, it was probably a conversation that examined one of the following dimensions of diversity, or perhaps several: race, or race and ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, and generational age and perspective. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, there are so many more dimensions of diversity than just those. Absolutely. This list goes on and on. You can start putting some of them out there in your mind right now: religion, nationality, able-bodied. Then there's the inside intrinsic characteristics, extrovert or introvert. So many other things that don't even show up outside of us. And if you've had a conversation around dimensions of those diversity, particularly the first four that I mentioned, I'm willing to bet, and with good reason, that chances are you might have focused on some of the groups in the middle. Wendy shared with you that I work, I think that was a typo, I don't work with Fortune 50, I work with Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies. And usually I'm working with a lot of defense, energy, and a lot of other industries that historically, for social reasons and for life of that business reason, have been somewhat homogenous, particularly made up of white men. And so it would make sense in a changing industry that if you are trying to focus on diversity and retain diversity, that you need to focus on some new perspectives, usually still those groups in the middle, even in 2020, as we know. And we've seen that it does somewhat of an interesting pressure to the groups in the middle too. I hear from my colleagues, my workplace partners, and people in my life all the time that people of color, women, members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, plus community, millennials, sometimes seniors, if it's talking about age, all feel like they're supposed to bring up the issues because they're in a workplace where nobody's very comfortable talking about these things, and yet says that we treat everyone the same. And so they often feel like they're the ones that need to kind of raise those issues, even if that's not their job. They're not working in HR, DEI. They may be an engineer or something else that has to do with the business side of things. On top of that, that's coupled with a lot of research, most recently from Harvard Business Review, that suggests that when people of color, women, members of the LGBT plus community, and other outside groups raise diversity, equity, and inclusion issues in the workplace, it can often adversely affect their career trajectories because they're seen as playing the race card, the self-advocacy card, the complainer card. Then what's also not examined in that equation is another group. Folks that on one level I'm part of. White, male, presumably heterosexual, mid-career. And that's an interesting piece to it as well. There's so many assumptions out there. I bet if I said the term white man right now and asked everyone to throw out, what are some assumptions you've heard about that term, whether you believe them or not, I bet we'd hear a whole host of things. And then if I said white men and diversity, I'll give you a flavor because I do this all the time. I would hear everything from fathers and leaders to conservatives, bigots, KKK, golfers, beer drinkers. I would hear, and the list goes on and on. And this is like flash second reactions to the term white man, whether you agree or don't agree. I would say if I added in the term white men and diversity, we would get things like don't know, don't care, zero-sum game. These are answers I get all the time when I run this activity with people stepping into my sessions. And so if we don't get a chance to examine those things, what does it mean? Then we're swimming in the water with all those projections that I just mentioned. And I think that's one of the things that keeps us on eggshells at work. I think it's one of the things that keeps us divided at times. Black Lives Matters for those of us that don't necessarily embrace that or understand that yet, while we would still maintain all lives matters. Because maybe we haven't had the chance to examine what does it mean to both be an individual, which many of you probably think of yourselves as individuals, and what does it mean to grow up white, male, or presumably heterosexual in North America? What impact might that have on my mindset, on my behaviors? So that's a lot of my work takes place in examining the unexamined and in asking others to examine the unexamined. Now, as you can imagine, when you're taking a step from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence, or ignorance is bliss to now I know that I don't know, there's a lot of discomfort. That's a lot of times where the shame and blame come from, or the anger, perhaps, around a term like white privilege. You know what? I can understand that. Growing up, I was on public assistance. I didn't have economic privilege. So at one point in time, probably like many other economically disadvantaged white men in this country, had you said white privilege, I might have looked at you side-eyed or not quite fully understood that, or been angry, quite frankly. So I get that piece of it. We hold space for each other to ask questions about that and what that means. You know, in my journey, I've come to really understand privilege to mean I don't think about being white. Most of my life, I've only had to think of myself as an individual. And I'm not saying that it's easy because of that. I don't think life is necessarily easy for anyone. COVID, wildfires, and everything else has proven that point out. Yet, in my times of not getting it right, in my times of seeking access and credibility, particularly younger in my career and younger in my schooling, I know I didn't think about whiteness as a thing that I had to take into consideration for my choices or the outcomes of choices that happened. So that's part of the consideration. Welcoming guys to have that conversation, taking out the shame and blame, but getting to a place of curiosity and responsibility. Because as the famous quote says, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. What I often like to say, and I think I can't quite, right now I'm in full screen, so I don't know how many people we have online, but as many people as there are online, I'd say that's how many perspectives of truth there are right now on this Zoom conversation. And that everyone has a perspective of the truth. It is not wrong. Let me say it again. However you think and feel on these issues, it is not wrong. It is most likely, just like mine, incomplete. And if I put your different perspectives together with mine and slow down and figure out the leadership skills to do that, then I get a wider aperture of the relationships and culture around me at work, and I believe in society. And that's where this work of leadership at the intersection of diversity, equity, and inclusion takes off. A few more thoughts. Often, when it comes to DEI, or probably any other issues in business, but we're focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, we can see an approach to issues that says life is filled with problems to solve. So in the case of diversity and inclusion, okay, we get it. We need to seek out diversity and retain it through inclusion. What are the 5 things I need to do to solve that problem? And with my company, I'm often balancing that, because there are problems to solve for sure, with the perspective that says life is a learning journey where new perspectives and questions arise. And just notice which one you tend to track on, particularly around diversity and inclusion. I find myself in that second category, often complementary approach, because while I might have spent, for me, over 20 years of my 42 years really thinking critically about race in the workplace, thinking about issues such as gender and sexual orientation are newer to me. And I know that I stumble into some of my unconscious bias in my work. Oops. Find the one right perspective and advocate for it, versus incorporate multiple perspectives, even if contradictory, and lead with inquiry. I definitely practice the second piece when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I find that, again, by suggesting that everyone has a view of the truth that is not wrong, but most likely incomplete, then myself and others can lead with inquiry when someone shares a thought or feeling that's contradictory to my own. And instead of shutting them down or shutting myself down, I can stay open to experience some discomfort, which is often the very onset of one's learning edge. Expressing vulnerability is a weakness, hide emotion. I remember my dad, who is first generation American, used to share with me some thoughts as I was just entering kind of college. And I, even earlier than that, because he was such a loving, gentle guy at home, but he'd talk about, at work, kind of just you leave your home stuff at home and you show up at work and you handle that. And I remember him talking about that with me even before I ever even got into this career. And I contrast that a little with my approach and kind of what I've seen younger generations at times embrace, which is expressing vulnerability is a strength and a form of courage. Be authentic. Emotions are data too. I love that idea. It can be challenging to some of us, but there's a lot of richness in that. The prioritizing of doing, action, fixing, and speed. I will confess I 100% operate from that approach, and it tends to tick my significant other, my wife, off at times when I should probably be slowing down and being present to connect and create trusted partnerships. So even if you have ascribed to diversity, equity, inclusion on a theory level, on a theoretical level, there's still practices to this. One of them being slow down, that we have to remind ourselves of and be mindful of if we truly want the inclusion piece to kick in. Remember, diversity is the mix of people in your organization, and inclusion is how you leverage and make that mix work and give folks equality in that system. That doesn't always mean we can rush to an answer, nor does it mean we can use slowing down to avoid getting to an answer. And finally, The idea of avoid and reduce uncertainty. I've got an inkling of what some of the businesses are involved with the Salem Chamber of Commerce. I'm guessing, given many of your industries, that uncertainty when it comes to the bottom line is not a good thing. I'm guessing your customers come to you for your certainty, for your product, for your legacy, and there's definitely a place, obviously, for that in business. And when we think about the relationships that go into play with diversity, equity, and inclusion, we can't just avoid that uncertainty. We need to be able to accept ambiguity, emotion, and discomfort. Otherwise, we're really having conversations for our comfort's sake, but not for our learning sake, especially the more inside the culture of the organization we are. I'm gonna hold up one or two more slides, and then I'd like to create a little space for Q&A. Last two things I want to show you are what I call the 8 critical leadership skills that come up. As I said before, I look at diversity, equity, and inclusion as one side of the coin. I look at leadership as the other side of the coin, rather than 2 separate programs housed in 2 different silos of the enterprise. I see how they're fused together, because I believe that the skills that come up, the leadership skills that come up when we have conversations and when we join the journey of full inclusion, underscore our ability to be 21st century leaders, such as courage. And courage here not being take the hill at all costs, but courage to be vulnerable, open with emotion, if you will, as you all were, at least what I saw around the Ritter family earlier. Integrating head and heart. How do I look at data and analytics around diversity? Certainly. And how do I understand stories? How do I understand the importance of feelings coming up for myself and others, and that people are data as a way to also understand in real time what's going on? Listening, how do I practice that deep listening? Not just to respond, so not just a CNN versus Fox News, but listening to really understand where another comes from, particularly when their perspective or life experience might be contradictory or perplexing to our own. Balancing key paradoxes, the idea of both and rather than either or thinking. And let me share, this is where we're gonna leave off for now and then get into some Q&A. Let me share with you a few of those paradoxes for diversity that I think an inclusive leader would want to incorporate into their mindset. The first is the idea that everyone on this call is a unique individual, 100% special unto yourself, whose skill and merit and talent are ascribed onto you, are unique onto you. I believe that. I also couple that with the idea that each of us belongs to many different groups. Some of mine, white, male, heterosexual, middle class, and that those also have impact on myself, my leadership mindset, my behavior, and the way I navigate. I used to be the director of diversity for Seattle Public Schools a while ago. And one time at the time I was one of a few white men in a position like that nationally for a large public school district. One time we were hosting a meeting for Black and Latino parents at one of our high schools, comprehensive high schools. And this is after I had released data that really corroborated the narrative that Black and Latino students are suspended and expelled at 3 times the rate as white students, kind of a national claim by many communities. So I published data that supported that, and I was coming to meet parents. And parents were understandably outraged about this. And as I stepped into the conversation, I'm hearing some pretty bold terms: white racism, systemic racism, white supremacy, gatekeeper, and I'm stepping in kind of seeing myself as an individual who's working for diversity and inclusion and who has just published this report to show the truth. And yet I'm feeling like they're attacking me with all these words. And so I start huffing and puffing back to this group of parents of color. And now there's a lot of tension in the air. All of a sudden my own training kicks in and I realize, holy smokes, they do not know me as an individual. I've never broken bread with anyone here. They might be speaking to parts of my group identity: white, male, heterosexual, authority figure at Seattle Public School. Let me get back into listening mode and not take that quite so personal. That stance shifted the dynamic of that entire conversation back into one of partnership. back into one of challenge and support rather than unending conflict. So just being aware. And I will contrast that with my African-American wife, who is a doctor and who works in a large corporation and often feels that her group identity as a Black woman is projected on her individuality in largely white spaces. So these paradoxes might play out differently for us depending on who we are. The next is sameness difference. Probably many of us come from this school of thought. If I treat everyone the same, or the golden rule, then I get around prejudice and we judge people by the content of their character. And what we're learning more and more, and Pete Carroll was alluding to that as well, at least in that last video for white people, that by ignoring or stifling differences, however uncomfortable they might make us, we really aren't being inclusive. We're denying people's full narrative and story. We're not, and really what we're saying is, I will treat you the same as long as you show up and kind of assimilate as I do things. But if you have a different approach or style, that could be a problem. The point here is to absolutely look for common ground on teams and to understand which differences make a difference and to lead with inquiry. Challenge and support. How do we challenge each other as Salem Chamber of Commerce members to continue the diversity, equity, inclusion journey as a group? And individually in our conversations, how do we ask each other open-ended questions and straightforward questions that don't have to come from a place of condemnation, but allow us all to examine our blind spots? And equally importantly, how do we affirm each other as an organization and individuals when we're doing that work? And finally, responsible and not my fault. How do I take responsibility as a leader in the 21st century with all of this going down around me on a micro level and on a macro level? For my own awareness, for my own application of tools and skills that I learn, for being parts of teams that advance inclusion, and ultimately for those teams influencing the whole narrative of my organization when it comes to diversity and inclusion. Rather than saying, I'm pissed off about hearing this privilege, that's not my fault, or I'm getting really shame, I'm starting to feel a lot of shame and blame because I'm realizing that maybe this is all my fault. We're not coaching that. We're not saying hate yourself because you're white or male or heterosexual. That is asinine. We're saying be responsible as a full inclusion leader to find out why diversity is beneficial to you and others, and in your way, join that journey. I'm gonna pause there, hit my stop share button, and check in with the committee around some Q&A if there's time. Oh, it looks like there is. Okay, Q&A. Wonderful. Great. I can respond to it over here. Is that the thought, Tom?
Excellent. Go right ahead, Noah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not Tom. Sorry, Kathy.
It's Kathy. It's all right.
So, okay. What are your thoughts on groups that attempt to cancel business they don't feel aligned with their beliefs? Okay, great. That's a really interesting question. You know, I'm not quite sure what, I guess I could go both ends of the spectrum, right? Maybe that could be somebody that feels maybe that, like we've seen examples of bakeries that don't want to necessarily sell cakes to a same-sex couple, or maybe on the other end of the spectrum, it could be somebody demanding that somebody has like a Black Lives Matter sign in their business and that business not putting it up in there. So maybe that plays out on both sides. I guess my approach to DEI is like this. I believe in really meeting people where they're at and in seeking to understand that first in the individual interactions. And then from there, once we have some understanding of each other, trying to seek some common accord. And I think generationally, what I'm seeing with a lot of clients, generationally, like you look at millennials, there's a shifting here. There's a shifting of people wanting to have resonance with brands, wanting their brands to sometimes take political and social stands. So you're starting to see some shifting demographics, I believe, in the marketplace that one would want to pay attention to as well. Let's hear another question. Okay, I guess I'm a little confused here, moderators. Am I looking at the Q&A or the chat here?
I think that was the only question that we had, Noah. Thank you.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Hey, Noah, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, let me chat in.
Yeah, if you could put that in the chat, your contact information.
Absolutely.
That would be really great.
There was one more question. This is Wendy. It said, what books do you recommend for white males to understand what I don't know?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'll write that down too, but it's called 4 Days to Change by Dr. Michael Welp. He's one of the co-founders of my company, White Men is Full Diversity Partners. And what he's done is synthesized 25 years of us doing work in something we call the White Men's Caucus, where white male leaders come together for 4 days across industry to talk about being change agents for inclusion, and created a fictional narrative that creates real life learning around that. So I'll write that down in the chat box, but I would highly recommend that one, 4 Days to Change.
Well, thank you, Noah. That was really, really great. We really appreciate you joining us today.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
It was my
much.
pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
We will be better listeners, and we will be authentic.
And just remember the paradoxes. Those will really, I think, those really help you forward with faith when you get to some troubled waters, which always come up in these conversations.
Absolutely. Thank you, Noah.
Yep.
All
Take
right,
care
Wendy.
now.
Yeah, take care. All right, Wendy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. And keeping with the Salem Chamber way, we will be done on time. So I will make this quick. I just wanted to share with our members and audience that currently there is a small group of Salem Chamber board members who are engaged in focused discussions about the need for a formalized way for the Salem Chamber to engage in equity and diversity work. Our focus is how the Salem Chamber can be more intentional on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion to strengthen our diverse business community. Earlier this year, we released the Statement of Racism and Inclusion. We've also been engaged and supported local community efforts. We are keenly aware that addressing these issues is critical for the development of economic vitality of our community. Locally and regionally, we are seeing more companies take action on issues of equity, diversity, and inclusion, and asking their strategic business partners about what they are doing on these issues. We see this as a great opportunity to be proactive. What might seem like a social issue, and we just heard it from Noah, is really a good business issue, and it's tied to business outcomes. Again, pointing to some of Noah's comments. And more to come in the days and years ahead. If you are interested in this work, please contact Tom Hoffert or myself or any member of the Salem board, and we welcome your involvement and your feedback. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Wendy. Really appreciate that. Before we sign off today, we have a little special quick video to share of what's happening in the next months here at the Chamber with our forum speaker series. So Tom, if you'll start that. Thanks, Tom. Well, and I want to thank everyone today for attending. It's been very insightful. I especially want to thank Kevin Cameron for sharing with us a very real image of our local folks being in distress. but also that message of hope of all of you who have helped that and are reaching out to all of them. And I want to thank Noah Prince for his insights, very insightful today, and we will look forward to hearing more about him. But I really want to give a special thank you out to PGE. Thank you, Wendy, for PGE sponsoring our event today. So to all of you who are here, I hope to see you very soon, maybe even in person one of these days soon. Our next forum is Monday, October 12th. And I hope to see all of you there, whether it's on Zoom or in person. Be well and have a great week ahead. Thank you so much.